Every single country on Earth is drowning in debt. The United States, $36 trillion. China, $15 trillion. Japan, $10 trillion. The European Union, $14 trillion. But here's the part that makes no sense. If everyone owes money, who the hell is getting paid? The answer is so disturbing, so perfectly designed, that once you see it, you'll never look at your mortgage, your credit card, or your government the same way again. I'm going to show you the biggest scam in human history, and you're paying for it right now. Let's start with a simple question. How much debt exists in the world? $315 trillion. That's total global debt. Government debt, corporate debt, household debt. All of it. That number is 3 times the size of the entire global economy. Stop and think about that. The world produces $105 trillion worth of goods and services per year, but we owe $315 trillion. Here's the math problem. If we took every dollar, euro, yen, and yuan produced on Earth for the next 3 years and used it to pay off debt, no food, no housing, no healthcare, nothing. We'd still owe money, so the question isn't can we pay it back? The question is, was it ever meant to be paid back? And the answer is no, because debt isn't a bug in the system. Debt is the system. Here's what they don't teach you in economics class. Modern money is created through debt, not printed, created. And there's a massive difference. When the US government needs money, it doesn't just print it. It issues a Treasury bond, a piece of debt. Banks buy that bond. And here's the magic trick. The Federal Reserve then buys that bond from the banks using money that didn't exist 5 seconds ago. New debt equals new money. No debt, no money. The entire money supply is just debt wearing a disguise. This is why every dollar in your pocket has an invisible IOU stamped on it. Somewhere, someone owes that dollar. Because that's how it was created, as someone else's debt. And here's where it gets insane. Remember that $36 trillion the US owes. About 70% of it is owed to Americans. Your pension fund owns Treasury bonds. Your bank owns Treasury bonds. The Federal Reserve, which is technically private, owns $5 trillion of them. So when people say we owe it to ourselves, they're accidentally telling the truth. But it's not a comforting truth, because we don't all benefit equally. The people who own the debt collect interest. The people who pay the debt, taxpayers, fund that interest. It's a transfer from workers to wealth holders, packaged as patriotism. Now here's the secret that changes everything. Governments never plan to pay off their debt. Not now, not ever. When you take out a mortgage, you're expected to pay it back over 30 years. But when governments borrow, they refinance forever. They issue new bonds to pay off old bonds. It's called rolling over the debt. And it's not a temporary crisis measure. It's permanent policy. Japan's debt is 260% of its GDP. They've been rolling it over for 40 years. The US has been doing it since World War II. Nobody's waiting for repayment. They're waiting for the next bond to buy. Because here's the twisted truth. Government debt is the safest asset in the world. Banks use it as collateral. Pension funds depend on it. The entire financial system is built on top of debt that will never be repaid. If the US government somehow paid off every dollar tomorrow, the global financial system would collapse. Because Treasury bonds aren't just debt, they're the foundation of modern money itself. So the debt can't be repaid, it can only grow, forever. And the interest payments, those flow upward to whoever owns the bonds. So who are these mysterious creditors? Who actually owns the world's $315 trillion debt pile? It's not China. China holds about $850 billion of US debt. That's only 2% of the total. The real creditors are pension funds, insurance companies, hedge funds, sovereign wealth funds, central banks, and regular people through their retirement accounts. Except they don't know it. Your 401k probably owns government bonds right now. So you are technically a creditor. But here's the catch. You're also a debtor through your taxes. You're both sides of the transaction, paying interest as a taxpayer, collecting pennies as a bondholder. The difference? The big institutional players collect billions. This is why debt and inequality rise together. The system rewards people who own debt and punishes people who just pay it. And it's why every financial crisis follows the same script. Governments bail out the creditors. Taxpayers The debtors foot the bill. Greece 2010, Spain 2012. The pattern never changes. So what happens when this debt machine finally breaks? History has one answer. It doesn't break cleanly. It breaks violently. When governments can't roll over their debt anymore, three things happen. 1. Interest rates spike. Argentina, Turkey, Lebanon. We've seen this movie. Borrowing costs explode. Governments print money to survive. Inflation destroys savings overnight. 2. Austerity. The IMF arrives with loans and conditions. Cut pensions, slash healthcare, raise taxes. The debt gets restructured, but the people pay the price. 3. Default. The debt simply isn't paid. Bondholders lose money. But the biggest losers? Regular citizens who watch their currency become worthless. We're watching the early stages now. Global debt just hit $315 trillion, up from $190 trillion in 2014. It's growing faster than the economy that's supposed to support it. The system survives on one thing: confidence. As long as people believe the debt will be serviced, the machine keeps running. But confidence isn't infinite, so here's what they never told you. Debt isn't money you borrowed and have to pay back. Debt is the money. Every dollar, every euro, every yen was created as someone's debt. The global economy doesn't run on money. It runs on an expanding mountain of IOUs that can never be fully repaid. And when you understand that, you realize this isn't about economics anymore. It's about power. The power to create debt is the power to create money. And whoever controls that controls everything. Your government doesn't control it. Central banks do. And behind them, the institutions that own the debt. So the next time someone asks, who do we owe all this money to? Now you know the answer. We owe it to the system itself. A system designed not to free us from debt, but to keep us in it forever. If this video changed how you see debt, hit subscribe. Because next week, I'm revealing the one asset class that thrives when the debt system collapses, and it's not what the banks want you to buy. This is Financial History Chronicles, where debt, power, and history collide. And the truth is always more disturbing than the lie.